Welcome to another episode of the NEL Show. Today's episode is sponsored by Quotes by SAGENEL. This should be sitting somewhere in your office. This should be sitting somewhere in your bedroom. This should be sitting somewhere in your kitchen. This should be sitting somewhere in your living room, in your corridor, somewhere in your library, somewhere in your home office. And we've got hundreds of quotes like this that we can transform into amazing frames like this with different sizes to help you reflect, get inspired. Hey, our guest is here. I'm so excited. Get inspired and help you meditate on things that will move your life forward. The essence of having a quote frame or a quote hung around you or placed on your office table, for instance, is to help you have the right sense of inspirational words, because words are seeds. To have the right framework, the right set of inspirational words continually keeping you going in your journey of life. Okay, so get yours, send a DM. If you're watching this on YouTube, get my contact from the description. Our amazing guest is here, so let us get right into today's topic, which is about writing a will. Okay, sending high requests.
Hi.
Morning. Rosemond, I was looking at your page today. I'm just like, this girl is just fine. Like, do you get that often? You're really and you're proud and petty. I was just thinking that, now what? Well, I won't say the rest of the things I was thinking. But honestly speaking, thank you for
Thank you
all
so
your
much. Thank
I
you.
am so excited. And I will when I get to the question, you'll see why. Because I just like what it is that you are doing, especially in this era where no shade or no problem to people who are making skits and all that. But I just feel like there's some professions that we need to keep alive, but it just seems like everybody wants to make skits. So I'm like, okay, all right. So when I found you, just like I told you, and I even shared, I was so happy. So let's get right into Rosemond's profile and we get to the discussion of today, which is writing a will. Rosemond Phil Otihiwa. Is that correct? Because I want to make sure that I got your
Otihiwa, yeah. It's Otihiwa, but yeah, I get so many pronunciations, so it's fine.
All right, is an astute corporate and commercial attorney who has garnered experience in providing legal advisory services, tax and corporate due diligence, as well as compliance to business owners and corporate clients for almost a decade. An alumnus of the University of Benin, she practiced as an associate in the law firm of Olatunde Adejuife, SAN and Co. before joining the firm of Debo Akonde, LLP and partner. Due to a passion for mentorship and continuous legal education and professional development, Rosemond is the current secretary of the Corporate Governance and Compliance Committee of the NBA section on the business law. She was past chairperson of the Continuing Legal Education Young Lawyers Forum, Nigeria Bar Association, Ikeja, and she hosts a mentorship program for young lawyers called the Young Lawyer Mentorship Series, which has hosted global thought leaders such as Mr. Francisco Frank Ramos, managing partner of Silvergate PA, Mr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN, amongst others. She is also the chairperson of the Internship Committee of the African Bar Association Nigerian branch, a member of the Chartered Institute of Taxation Nigeria, CIT, and the Corporate Communications Officer of the Pan Africa Women's Network, as well as a member of other NGOs, which is pushing for impact, growth, and continuous personal and professional development. She's a prolific legal researcher, author, speaker, writer, and scholar whose greatest desire is to deliver optimal solutions to clients' needs through excellence, diligence, and integrity, while spurring career professionals to aim for progressive career development and impact. And this is just the abridged version of Rosemond's profile because she did a lot of amazing things that if we start reading it out,
Oh my
it will
God.
be the whole show. So we've read a bit about her. We'll get to know her more by some of the questions that we'll be asking her. So let's get started. Before we get into with the wheel, Rosemond, you are fascinating to me personally, you're fascinating to me. So I want to know, please tell us why you got into law and even what that journey was like. So why did you decide to get into law first
Oh,
of all? How has that journey been for you?
oh wow. So I first of all, thank you so much for having me. Like this is so much fun. I do this for fun. Literally, I live and breathe conversations like this. So contrary to public opinion, most of the time, I really didn't have a lot of things figured out when I was going to start my professional journey. As most of every one of us, most of us when we start, we really don't know what the future holds. But two things were very clear to me. I was very conscious. I basically knew exactly what my skills and what my strengths were. So first off, I knew that I could speak. I knew that I had no problems articulating my thoughts and being able to communicate. So I felt like, okay, I hate maths. Go and do law, right? I guess that's what everybody does. But the
Mm,
thing was, when I got into the university, because of course I got in, I saw how people modeled excellence, right? I could see that there was so much capacity that just being good at what you do, there's a certain level of excellence that is portrayed. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to give my 110% to this. So summary was, I got out of school, did well, but I was looking for it, so I needed a place to work.
mm,
Now, one of the things I've been able to do really good is that I try to make do with what I have where I am. So when I was done with NYSC, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm good at writing. I can articulate my thoughts and all that. So I started writing articles on LinkedIn, right? I just was just writing articles on tenancy matters. In fact, before data protection became a thing, right? I was writing on data security, data protection. That was as far back as 2015, 2016. So I got the attention of a judge in Abuja. He was a judge of the Federal High Court in Abuja. He came across my profile on LinkedIn and was like, wow, you write well. Would you mind doing some research work for me? And I said, why not? So I started doing research for him. I was in Lagos, he was in Abuja, and he was using my research for his judgments. And he was
mm,
like, you know what? So he asked me, he said, what are you doing now? I said, I'm in between jobs. I'm trying to get a very nice place. He said, where would you like to work? I told him the exact place and why. I told him I wanted a very great law firm in Ikeja. I wanted to do stuff like that. So he said, okay, fine. I was going to talk to his classmates who happened to be his classmates in law school, right? And that was how I got my job. So my interview was more or less like a get to know you session. It was not even an interview, really, right? So I got into the firm and I was there for 4 years. Within that 4 years, I became grounded in being able to handle complex matters. Because when you are working with a senior advocate who is very skilled in commercial corporate law, you are put on your toes. You are not doing charge and bill matters. You are going to court, you are doing AMCON cases, you are always in the Federal High Court, you are dealing with top clients. So I already had that background and that foundation, and it was so good, right? So that was the confidence I needed. Now, I got to a point where I told myself, you know what, I'm going to do this for 5 years. After 5 years, I'm going to transition. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I just knew at the first year there was time to do something different. So I went fully into corporate law, and as Providence will have it, I got an offer to be a partner with my current partner now, Debo Akonde LLP, where I'm a partner in the firm right now. And it's just been really great. I fell in love with corporate law. Funny enough, I hated corporate and commercial law when I was in law school because it felt so technical. But I realized that I enjoy it so much right now. Like it's all I do. I'm either negotiating contracts, I'm helping firms get seed funding, raising fund rounds. So in that journey, I got into tech. So I also co-founded a legal tech company. and it's just been really amazing. Really, just being able to solve problems on a very huge scale, right? And being able to solve very naughty issues.
Mm. Okay, I can't. Okay, I can't see you again, although
Sorry,
I can hear you. I think
sorry, a
it's
call
just
came through.
network.
Yeah, a call came through.
Okay, cool.
I'm back. Yeah. So it was so far so good. It's just been really amazing.
So,
I'm
sorry,
professional, so
Rosemond.
I'm
I think
fully.
you may have to leave
Yeah.
and join in because I can't see you again. So all you need to do is leave
Oh,
and
okay.
just come. I don't know why. I can hear your voice, but I can't see you again. Okay, so Rosemond will join in again. Yes, she's going to join in again. I wonder why that happened. Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
So right now, I'm currently
But
living entrepreneur,
hey,
and
the
I'm
conversation has started on a great
also a
note.
consultant as well. So
I'm happy.
I'm having to advise
Thank
businesses
you
and
for
I'm having to
joining me.
run businesses at the
Okay,
same
yes.
time. So
Better now.
it's just
Yes.
been an
So as
amazing
you were
journey.
saying,
Um, Another thing that I think very, very relevant to our discussion today is the fact that I became a collaborator with one of the topmost will writing platforms in Nigeria, right? They created a legal product to help people write their wills from the comfort of their homes. They can sit down and everything is done for them. That's why I was really excited when you approached me with this topic, because I have been able to successfully help a lot of families draft their wills, lodge their wills, and for families that are unable to have wills, I help them process their letters of administration without stress. So it's just been a lot of things. I have not even broken down a lot of the journey, but I can just give you like tidbits of that. So yeah, it's really been
wow.
great.
What does it mean for the layman? What does it mean to become a partner? Because you are currently a partner at the Debo Akode LLP. What does it mean? What is that? Because we see it, partner. What does it mean? Does it mean you're a
Okay,
co-founder? Does it mean you're part of the company? Does it mean you're a CEO, COO? What does that mean?
okay. So I'll break it down this way. It depends on the
Okay.
structure of the organization. Now, there are different forms of business organizations in Nigeria. You have your sole proprietorship, which is like your one-man business, right? You have your limited liability company, which is like an LTD, where you have directors, shareholders, and you have what they call partnerships. So partnerships is like we all have equal stake in the success of this organization. So there's profit sharing. Rather than distributing shares, there's profit sharing, right? Now,
Okay.
for lawyers, what it means to be a partner if you're a lawyer simply means that you are like more or less like the top. So when you talk about a management role or you talk about an executive role in a company, that's how being a partner is. So if you get into a law firm and the structure is a partnership structure, so you start as an associate and a junior associate. So different firms have their own growth structure, from junior associate to intermediate to senior associate. You can have some firms that maybe split it to senior associate 1, senior associate 2, and stuff like that. Then before you become partners, so usually partners are either the owners of the organization or the firm, or they are more like they are contributories. So instead of partners earning salaries like normal people, they'll be paid in profits. So maybe there's a
Okay.
transaction, but so it's kind of like you have more stake, you have more responsibility, you are representing the firm and in their interests, and of course, you are actually earning and of course doing more as a key stakeholder in the organization. So you're not just like an employee, you're kind of like the owner of the business, the owner of the firm, that kind of thing.
Okay, all right. Thank you for helping us clarify that. So, what keeps you practicing in a world where many people want to do other things? I'm sure, well, I know if I start looking for lawyers, I will find them, but the truth of the matter is, Rosemond, I don't see many people like you online putting themselves out there, doing tech, doing, at the very least,
Mm,
just putting themselves out there because When a work where you need to be out, at least on social media, no matter how active or inactive the person is. So, but and then you still have people who there are people who have said, "Oh, I studied law, but that's not what I want to practice." So,
Yeah.
what keeps you practicing? That you know what I'm going forward with this, regardless of all the other well, seemingly juicy things that may be hanging around or that may have even been offered.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So I feel that we all have different interests, right? We all have unique tendencies. We all have different things that we want to use our skills and our competencies to do. Most of the time, a lot of people were actually forced to enter into career paths that they were not passionate about. And I think
Oh.
it's a very critical thing to assess, especially in your growth or as your career journey. So you have a lot of people who, of course, started with the law thing and just transitioned. Some went into tech, some went into different things, right? They just did. I'm so sorry. There's some people that, of course, studied law and then went back and went to go and study business, entrepreneurship, and But
Mm-hmm.
for me, the decision that I made from the beginning was that I may not be exactly where I want to be yet, but where I am right now, I'm going to make the best of it, right? So another issue you've critically raised, which is also very very important, is the fact that you've mentioned that sometimes a lot of lawyers are very not out there. The reason is because some people are confused because we have a particular rule of professional conduct that does not allow lawyers to strictly advertise their services. So I cannot come on Instagram and say I do wills, I write contracts. We can't do that. It's against the rules of our professional ethics, right?
Yeah.
But we can host learning and development programs. We can write articles. We can do collaborations. We can appear on programs like you are now. Lawyers appear on TV all the time, don't they? So you can do that, right? But what that does for us is that it gives us the visibility we need so that we can get referrals. But the purpose of putting yourself out there is to let people know that you know what you are doing. You are competent in the field of knowledge that you claim to be competent in, and you are able to articulate yourself in such a way that people can understand what their current needs are as far as the services you offer is concerned, right? So my personal decision to ensure that I am like you read in my profile, I've hosted training sessions, mentorship sessions for young lawyers, right? Because I realized that I noticed that there was a gap in people coming into the system out of law school and they are just lost, right? Either they don't know whether they should start hunting for jobs or go and work in a bank or do whatever, right? You understand me? But because I had the privilege of starting well, I had the privilege of having such a beautiful foundation. I had the privilege of handling cases that were 10 times complex than what I was expecting at just 1 year post call, 2 years post call. I realized that a lot of young lawyers didn't have that opportunity. So I needed to put up a platform for people to understand that they have much more capacity to do much more than they are currently doing. So that's what inspired my being online and just putting a lot of informational content. One of my greatest mottos is give yourself the permission to evolve. That's been my number one mantra, and I say it all the time. I say it all the time. Give yourself the permission to evolve. And so when people see that you know what you're doing and you're passionate about what you're doing, they trust you more. You know, they recommend you more. They want you to be part of their organizations. They want you to do great stuff. They want to do stuff with you. So always put your best foot forward. I think that would be like my comments on that.
Wow, thank you so much, Rosemond. So, what is your big dream and goal as a lawyer? What would you say is your big picture now? Well, at this time, because just like you shared with us about your quote about evolving, so it definitely will keep evolving. But what would you say is your big dream and goal currently as a lawyer, attorney?
I have a lot. But there's this thing people say about purpose, right? And they say there's this big thing. I feel that, so for me, I have quite a different mindset. And let me tell you what that is. I feel that the journey is the goal. The process of becoming is the journey. The process of becoming is the goal. I don't have, okay, in the year 2025, I'll become senior advocate of Nigeria. That's not in my goal, right? I just know that I'm going to create solutions, systems, and processes that will enable the lives of people to run easily as far as sorting out their legal concerns are. I do not have an exact date, but I know that there is a certain timeline and landmark that will do that. So whatever it is I do now, I do it with the whole of my heart, right? So if I'm not in court or I'm not talking about a brief, I'm helping someone, which is part of what we lawyers are meant to. We make lives easier, really. A lot of people have this mindset that lawyers are very, what's the word? We are very, I'm trying to look for the word. We are very complex. We are mysterious. We like to keep to ourselves. And that's one of the modes that I am determined to break. There was something you said which shows that I might be doing a good job. Is the fact that you don't see a lot of lawyers put themselves out there like that.
Yes.
But so I'm breaking that mindset that lawyers are shrouded in mystery. Oh, this is that is that. Those are the mindset that I'm trying to break. So my big goal will say is just to revolutionize the mindset a lot of people have about lawyers and create systems and structures that enable the delivery of legal services without challenges across the world, really. Because that's a lot of things are in the pipeline. So yeah, thank you.
Okay. Before we go into the real question, could you tell us a bit about your tech initiative so that we can learn more about that? Your tech
My what?
initiative. Your tech initiative.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's like a real journey. So, in 2020, I was approached by a wonderful and amazing friend of mine, Anthony Chibata, and he was like, you know what? So let me tell you, in fact, how this company started, that he reached out to me and said he lost a friend of his friend of his passed on, and he didn't have a will. And it felt like this is something that if there was a solution that was developed, that he was able to just do his will on his phone, he wouldn't pass on and his family is thrown deep into the arms of suffering and poverty because they were not able to do their estate or sort out issues before he passed them. And so he reached out to me and said, I have this idea, this, that. And I was like, okay, let's work something around it. So that was in 2019. By 2020, October, we had built an app, created a software solution, registered a company called Sealed App, which I currently co-found. And we had an MVP, which we shared. And in 2021, which was last year, we entered into the Innovation Challenge by the Nigerian Bar Association, and we won a couple of thousands of dollars in funding that helped us, right, to get traction. The sad part, which I feel that really hurt me a lot, is that I lost my founder in 2020. So he wasn't alive to see when we won our grant, and it was such a painful experience for me. In fact, till now I'm still recovering from the loss. But that memory that he came up with something that was so beautiful keeps me going, that regardless of the disappointment that I have, we keep building our company and ensuring that we are at least giving awareness, right? So currently we are at the stage where we are re-engineering the solution, rebranding, doing all sorts of things. So we are working on getting a live product out there, and it's something that's going to be happening very, very soon. So yeah, that's where we are right now. So yeah, it's just been an amazing journey for me. I entered into tech, getting to know about a lot of people who are doing great stuff, building great companies on technology and stuff like that. So yeah, it's an amazing part. Is that just
Lagos event, Silicon Party or Silicon Lagos version events on your page, and it was really amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
That's snippets. I can imagine how amazing the whole event was.
Oh yeah. So currently it's called Itana. We are digital residents. It's one of the initiatives of Talent City. Talent City is more or less like a vision to have an ecosystem for people who are innovators, change makers, right? And in technology. So it's kind of like a Silicon Valley, right? So yeah, I was privileged to be a member. I'm privileged to be a digital resident. So I get to have access to this community of builders across the world, right? So yeah, it's just an amazing thing that we're actually doing right now.
Really great stuff, and I'm glad that we are having this conversation and now learning these things from you. So,
Thank
Rosemond,
you.
we're going to go to the very basic because in my own conversations personally, I don't assume that anybody knows anything that is watching. So when I bring the
Very
experts,
true.
I ask very basic questions so that at the end of the day, you can
Very.
say, I have learned. So please, what is a will? Because many people just grew up hearing will, will, will. And at best, some were educated by the media. Say, hey, Papa don't die, yo, it's not right will, blah, 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 maybe movies and whatnot. So many, I can guarantee you, I've never seen a will. Many are passed on or have family that are passed on, didn't write a will. They see families at their neck
Yeah.
fighting. So please tell us, at least the best way you can, what is even a will?
So, like you said, layman terms, I'm not going to go all legalese on anybody. A will is a statement. A will is a statement of intention of what you want to be done to your assets after you die. That's it. It's a statement of intention. That's it. That's as simple as it is.
Hmm.
Three myths I'm going to burst about what a will is. A will is not a document that makes you feel that you're about to die soon. Nollywood has discombobulated our minds to make us feel that writing a will is a bad omen that you're expecting your death, which is so wrong. Because of that mindset, you have a lot of families that have been thrown into abject suffering because there was inability of the head or of the people who were in charge or had dependents to adequately prepare for those dependents upon their passing. Death is inevitable. So a lot of people. I was having a conversation with my dad. That was last week, right? And my mom lost her elder brother. Rest in peace. And there was he was a judge. My uncle is a judge. In I think Delta State or so. And there was something that my mom said. My mom said this man catered for everybody to the T before he passed. He passed away due to cancer. So it was very fast. He had, I think, colon cancer or so, and it was very fast. He rapidly deteriorated. But years before he deteriorated, he had sorted out everything that had to do with his properties as far as his family members, his extended families, even down to his children, everyone. So as a family, we already know what is happening. So nobody is stressed as to go and apply for letters of administration. So let me not talk too much. A will is just a document that states what your intentions are after you pass on. And anybody can write a will. You don't have to be 60 years old, 70 years old. Once you are 18, once you have a GSM phone, you can will. It's just a document that you say, I will my GSM phone to so as. Do you understand? It's a way of preparing, right? So the third myth I will burst is that will writing is not for old people. Anybody. It's not for old people. I'm
It's true.
serious.
That's
It's not for old people, right? It's not for old people. The moment you have a car, you have assets, you have things that you need to, and you can always update it. So I think that we're having a further conversation. So it really is basically a document that states your intention of what you want to have happen to your assets after you pass on.
Okay, so when you say assets now, again for a layman listening, those look like is it what the person has that is profitable, or what is an idea of that? Like a house, you just said something about GSM, phone, is it properties, all of the properties like a kitchen, phone, all of those things. So can you give us examples of assets? I know it's funny,
Okay,
but
yeah, sure. So we have a law called the Wills Law of Lagos State. Every state has their own laws that pertain to wills and all that. The will is supposed to document all kinds of assets. There are different categories of assets. There are real assets. Real assets are tangible stuff that you can hold. So this is my car. You have a car. You have a house. You have clothing, your clothes, those are real assets. Intangible assets can now be maybe your intellectual property, maybe you have a product, you have a business. Those are intangible assets, right? Monies in your bank accounts, those are personal property, right? Those are personal assets. So all these categories are allowable, and you can actually view them in your document, or whatever documents that you actually do, to get your new writing done. So yeah, those are some of the assets that you basically have, and it's something that you can actually give to people or to as many persons as you want in your documents, in the document that will constitute your will. So yeah, there are different categories of assets. I would just say they are broadly categorized into tangible and intangible. Tangible things that you have, your houses, your car, your phone, your clothes, your shoes, your bags. Intangible assets like your intellectual property, things that you created, softwares, mobile products, things that you actually did. So there's no category of assets that you cannot actually put under a will.
Okay, that is really important. And wow, thank God. Anyways, I was still going to ask that question because, like I said, I'm going to ask every basic question. But now, I didn't even think about it before this interview, that even intangible assets. So, for instance, an idea that may have not been launched can also be willed to somebody. That, oh, you know what, you
Yes.
only continue with this idea or something like that. See to it that it goes on.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, of course. You can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so is the Rosemond, is the event where a person is in a lot of debt, what what can the person do? Can a person like just still write a will, or is there some sort of, maybe I don't know if it's going to take us away from this, but you can just let us know within the context of this. In a context of a person is in debt now, and the person is listening to this conversation and saying, okay, I want to write a will, but my own is more of a, in quotes, cost than blessing, because I have debts and I don't have anything to give. Yeah, I have a few things, even though I'm in debt. I have a house, I have a car, but I still have debt. What would you advise that person to do or to put together in their will despite their current financial state?
Okay, so I think it's a very important question, because most of the challenges that I have with a lot of my clients is the fact that they have undertaken debts, they've undertaken loans, and there is no proper internal restructuring of how the prompt and effective repayment plans are supposed to be. Right now, it only gets to a point where there is inability to manage resources. That's when debt becomes a liability. On a normal day, debt should be leverage. Now, I wouldn't say that writing a will is the best way to sort out issues that has to do with company liability. I would say that when a person has a lot of liabilities, so maybe you take a lot of bank loans, you have a lot of those things, there is something the New Companies and Allied Matters Act helps you to do as a company or as a person who is about going bankrupt. There's something called the bankrupt regulation under the company law that allows you to restructure how those debts will be paid and timelines. So, for example, if you are an individual person and you have a lot of liabilities, assuming but not considering that you pass on, right? You need to have a mandate. So there's something you appoint who they call trustees in your will. Those trustees will help you to manage the repayment of those debts, maybe by selling your assets. You can state it in your will that, okay, I have this particular asset which is either going to liquidate at this particular be liquidated at this particular time. So those are things that you can do. You understand? Those are things you can do. You can have assets that can be liquidated. So you can instruct your trustees in your will to actually overtake your capacity as either a director or a shareholder, right? Or a business manager, or as an insolvency practitioner. So that's something that's very important. You can appoint a legal personnel or somebody who is a certified insolvency practitioner to be able to wind up your company affairs or your personal affairs, depending on the nature of debt or the nature of the organization that took the debt. If it's a company, you are definitely going to need a corporate liquidator. They are called liquidators. under the law, right? If it's an individual, maybe it's a sole proprietorship, you need to have a trustee who is going to help you to manage those affairs after your passing. And you must give specific instructions as to how those debts will be repaid, either by selling some properties or doing or entering into some kind of organizations or businesses. As the case may be, depends on the particular nature of the debt and how the debt is structured. If it's for a bank, that, my friend was saying a joke. It was like the kind of money that some people have borrowed in this country. The banks are going fasting and praying that they should not die. Seriously, right? But assuming that happens, that's when having a corporate insolvency practitioner as a trustee in your will becomes very important. You need to do that. So that the person, you have an expert managing your debts after you're gone. That kind of thing.
Okay, so Rosemond, you spoke a lot about liquidating. To the layman, what does that mean? You even shared that there is something called your companies that also help with that. Does liquidating mean selling, or does it mean generating profit, or what is that concept about? What is that concept?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. What word were you referring to?
Liquidating.
Okay.
So
Liquidating means
generating profit, selling. When you said that concept of liquidating, what were you talking about? Or what did you mean?
Okay, think of it this. So let's use layman English. Let's assume you have some money in dollars in your account, right? And you need to make a payment. Maybe you need to pay like maybe 10,000 naira for something. Maybe you went shopping and you don't have any money on you. And at that point in time, when you tell somebody I'm not liquid, what does that mean? I don't have cash right now to spend, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you use that analogy, to liquidate simply means to convert cash that might not be in in a state that you can immediately spend, to make them convert them to forex. So to liquidate it means, so let's say I have maybe a 30 million naira loan and I have a house that's worth 50 million. If I'm going to liquidate that loan and I'm going to use my property, I would say sell that property, right, and get the cash sum. So that's a word you use. Liquidate simply means to convert something that is not tangible to tangible so that you can use it for other purposes. Yeah, that's what liquidate simply means. So just convert it to a form where you can spend. So if you're going to say liquidate a company's assets, it could be to sell, it could be to use it in such a way that you can generate profit or generate value from that property to be able to solve a particular need at a time. So that's what liquidating means.
Thank you. Really personally enjoying this conversation. So what does it will look like? Is there any format that it looks like? Maybe you should help us break it down, because I do think that is why some people complicate matters for themselves and don't even get started. If you could help us to understand what it looks like and what the process is to writing a standard will also
amazing question. I love it. What I wanted to do on this show, if not, we had to reschedule this, right?
Yeah.
I had plans. I was actually going to come to this live session with a will draft, like you see. It's like an 11-pager, right? But honestly, wills are very personal documents, so it's not what's the word? It's not really. I'm trying to look for that word. So it's not right to actually share somebody's will without their permission. So I can only talk about it. So there's a certain format, yes. But let me tell you, it's not cast in stone. Initially, there was a particular point in time where you can just write what your decision is on a piece of paper and just go and lodge it. But I'm going to explain what the current process is, and I'll be as very simple as possible. Now, one of the things that I do when clients come to me and say, oh, I want to write a will, this is what I do for them. The first thing I do is I give them a questionnaire. That questionnaire has a list of questions that if they answer that question, they make my work easy, right? Some of the questions I ask them: name, your address, right? Status, number of dependents, family members. Who do you want to appoint as a representative? They are called trustees, right? The list of assets. So you categorize it. What are your real assets? The houses, where are they located? Basically, just asking for this information. Do you have shares in companies? What are your illiquid assets? Those assets that you know that you cannot easily convert right now. Your shares. Do you have? So I give you a list of all those things. When I have that information, I get to draft it, right? There's a certain format. I'm not going to bore you with all the legal grammar, but the summary is that in that document, you're going to say, so let's say I, Rosemond, feel Othiwa of so and so place, hereby do set up this will and testament at this social time and day. It's on a document, right? And then we start categorizing it. I hereby give to, you mention the name of the person, this so property at this so location. I hereby, so we just state all your intentions basically. You write it in that document. Even down to the point how you want to be buried, where. There's nothing you can put in that document, right? It's your decision to make. So we put those information there. Once we have that draft, at the end of that draft, you have what is called a testament. So it's like you signing on behalf, like a witness. You need to have two witnesses, and it must be done in the presence of the person who created the document, because there have been challenges in court where they'll come and challenge a will and say the person was not in his right mind when he wrote the will. So it is a very critical thing as somebody who is writing a will, that once your lawyer is done with drafting the document, right, you are there as the testator. The testator is the person writing the will while he's alive.
Okay.
Right? You have your two witnesses who come and sign in your presence. Right? You sign, they can be your lawyer and somebody. The person said there has to be two witnesses. Once that document is signed, we execute it in 4 copies. Right? It's executed in 4 copies. And then we take it to court, and we go to the court, write an application letter to the registrar or the probate registry.
I can't hear Rosemond again.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm back.
Okay, did you have a call or something? Okay, the network. I think network.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, but was it a phone call again? I think you have to leave and come back again, because I can hear you and can't see you. The same thing that happened the last time.
Pressure, can you see me now?
Okay, good. Yes, I can now. All right.
Just turned on my camera again. Yeah.
So
what was the last thing you heard?
Yes, you were saying you go to court to write an application, and that was when
you went
on.
Yeah, okay. An application letter is written to the probate registry, so it's assigned to the probate registrar, High Court of, if you are in Lagos, if you are in Abia State. Do you understand? So you write that application and state, I wish to lodge my will in the probate registry of the High Court. You take it to the probate registry, they just guide you through the process. They'll give you an envelope, you're supposed to put it in an envelope. You go to the bank, you pay maybe 10,000 naira or so in the bank, and then they stamp it, they seal it. Once they seal the document, it's in the registry like that, right? So you put it there and you're good to go. Now, thank God for technology. And remember I mentioned that I happen to partner with an organization or a technology company that helps people write their wills. So it's called carrot.ng. So let me write that in the comment box. Carrot.ng, right?
Okay.
So that platform is a simplified will writing platform. You go there, log in, create your account, and then there you can write your will. They help you collect the will from where you are. They help you lodge the will in the court, and you have to rest. The only time that you only have to see anybody is maybe when your beneficiaries come to read your will after you have passed, and you can edit that particular will as many times as you want, right? So technology has come to really help a lot of people with this whole will writing thing. Rather than writing letter, go and meet your lawyer, run to court, you come back, go to bank, come back. You don't need to do your stress. Once you just go on that website, you're able to go there, write your will platform, and the will will be delivered to you. The execution and everything will be done, and then you can always lodge it in court and all that, right? And if you want to edit it, you want to make changes, right? You can also make changes as many times. It's called a caveat. So when you're making a change to a will, it's called a caveat. So you do a caveat, and then of course you place a caveat and state that you want to make an adjustment. right, to that particular will. So once it's lodged in court, you have proof. A letter will be issued to you, or a stamp will be issued to you, the date where that particular will was lodged, and then you can keep that document and inform your lawyer, right, so that you are able to have that document to yourself, and then when it's time to go back and read the will, you can go and do that. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely, and very well explained. Like, I like this conversation because anybody can understand it, and I thank you for how you are simplifying it. The question I want to ask is this will process, well, it may look like obviously, but I still need to ask the question. For a person to get started, if the person wants to use the what I'll call the traditional method of getting a lawyer, then the person pays this lawyer, right? And goes on with this process. So to get the form of the court and all that, is there also payment for it? I just want to know how that goes. And also, Carrot.ng, the payment process for it as well, if it is being paid for.
Okay, so now, if you have a lawyer, it's you and your lawyer that will discuss professional fees for getting all that done, right? But the conventional thing is, you go to a lawyer, say, like I said, when people come to me and say, I want to write a will, I give them a questionnaire. I let them know. I give them my bill of charges, that this is how much it will cost. We get to negotiating, we agree, and we sort that out. What that does for you, so because it's a traditional method, it may be cheap, it may be expensive depending on your lawyer, right? But like I said, technology platforms like this are very basic. If I remember, I think to lodge a will, the entire package is about 45,000, so it's not really that expensive, right? And you can do it as many times as possible, and it covers the entire process. Do you understand what I mean? So yeah, so once the best way to start is just have a list, go to a lawyer or go to that web platform if you wish to go, whatever means, right? Agree with your lawyer will give you a questionnaire, right? He drafts the document, he gives it to you to review. If you are okay with it, right, you sign with your beneficiaries or you sign with your witnesses, right, and then you lodge it in court. The lodging in court is about 10,000, and it takes about 10 to 15 minutes. Each court will have their ways. They will just guide you. Once you go to the probate, just ask, when you go to the court, ask, I'm looking for the probate registry, right? You go to the probate registry, send out to lodge a will. They'll just tell you what to do. They'll tell you who to meet. They'll ask you for the documents you have to submit, and then they'll give you something to go and pay to the bank or whatever. But like I said, technology comes to make things easy. I remember those times when I used to write wills for clients. I'll be jumping from one bank to the other, but things have changed now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Quite simplified. And the Carrot.ng, I'm expecting that there's payments on the platform. Is there when we get there? I mean, for the services being provided by the website.
Yes, of course. So I'm not sure I got that question. Sorry.
No, I'm just clarifying that people should know that when they get to Carrot.ng and want to work out their will, they should understand that it also comes with a budget. Or except it's free, which would be amazing. But I just expect that it's supposed to be paid for, being that even the traditional method, you're going to pay for it. So I just wanted to clarify.
It is. And it's one of the best packages out there, because some lawyers will charge you close to 300, 500,000 naira to write your will. Some lawyers, like, depending on the category, some lawyers will charge 150,000, some will charge 200. But the platform is for everybody, regardless of what status you are. I think it's about 45,000. So I think it's even less. But you can check it out, right? So it's really good.
Go with that understanding. All right,
so I think it's carrot.com.ng. So I'm going to pin.
Okay, so all right. So let me unpin this so that when you write the other one, I can pin that. So it's carrot.com.ng. Okay. All right. So when you type it down, I will just pin it. My next question is, who should be writing a will? When I mean who, what is the age appropriate time that a will be well received as, okay, this person is right to write a will? Is it 18? Is it 16? Is it 5 years old? And who should be writing a will? can the child of the can the person who is a child still write a will? For instance, a child of 16-year-old who has a parents, that person says, "Oh, mommy, I've watched this show now. I want to write a will." Is that possible? So, who and what age range should be writing a will?
Okay, so remember what I said at the beginning, right? Will
Yes.
writing is not for people who are about to die, and it's not for old people, right?
Yes.
As long as you've been validly recognized in Nigeria as an adult, which is the age of 18, right?
Mm.
You can, right? Usually for young people who have assets, usually they would have what they call guardians, right? So their guardians will basically be in charge until they come of age. And once you come of age, you can write a will, right? You can. There's nothing that stops you. There's no law that says that there is a limit. In fact, if not for the fact that maybe children are not able to articulate themselves and know exactly what they want, because state of mind is an important factor for will writing. State of mind is such an important factor. So you must have cognizance. You must know what you're doing. You must have what they call it. You must be in a good state of mind. You shouldn't be an insane person. So once you're able to just show that you have sense, you can write a will. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
There's no
All right.
restriction.
All right. So.
And it's so sad that we're almost out of time, but yeah, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm having fun.
Yes, we will soon be wrapping up. So I want to ask you about people, because as a counselor, there are people who are in the psychiatric hospital. I'm aware of these people at least because it is my field. How can a person who is, for instance, in the psychiatric hospital, who is looking to write a will, because this person is going to pass on for one illness or the other, still be able to write a will? And I think I should mix that up with a person who is also sick. Maybe the person is on the bed with a cancer or something. How can the person still? So the person is not necessarily strong, and we cannot. I can't really talk about their mental state at this time, but it's a bit shaky because they are on bed rest and whatnot. What process can this person use to still write a will, even though it may look late, but this person still wants to make it happen? How can the person go about
Okay.
it?
Well, this is a very, very important question. I remember I said it at the beginning. Soundness of mind is such an incredible factor in will writing. It must be proven. I wouldn't necessarily say beyond reasonable doubt, but it should be very much established that you were in the right state of mind, that you were not coerced, that you were not delusional when you actually wrote your will. So if the person is, it depends on the nature of the sickness. So if the person is maybe unable to move or walk, right? It's allowed. We are allowed as legal advisors or helpers or consultants to come to where you are, get the information that you want orally. We take that oral instruction and we put it in document form. So it's not a challenge in terms of. I remember a particular client that we reached out to. It was in his 80s, and I think he had a mild episode. I think he was admitted to Lagoon Hospital or so. And his son called us and said, "Oh, my dad is about, we don't know what's going on, right? He's really old, right? So let's see how fast we can get this thing done." And we went to the hospital, we discussed with him, just talked to him. So he was just saying, "Oh, this is what I want." And he just expressed himself. We put that in a document form, and then we got better, thankfully, right? And
Yes.
we executed the document and we lodged it, and that was it. There's something I want to mention. It's not just about writing the will, because a lot of people focus their attention on, oh, right. What happens after you write? I think that's an important question. And how do Nollywood movies have really scattered our head. You just see all the family members will sit down wearing black, and you see one lawyer that is wearing shoulder pad coats to come and read.
Yes.
Let me
Funny
tell you
enough,
what
I
it
had
happens in
that
the real
question,
world.
but since you're already going into it, yes, because I had a
Let me
question
tell you how
originally
it happens
about
in the
why
real
is it
world.
still contented in some spaces.
Exactly. So this is what happens. Regardless of the time the will is lodged, you will have a receipt that will be issued by the probate registry showing that this was the date the will was lodged. So this is what happens. When the person passes on, right? It is very important that when you write a will, please tell people you have written a will, right? Because what people don't know, they cannot pursue. Do you understand what I mean? Tell your
Yes.
lawyer, tell your spouse, tell your child. Even if you don't trust any of them, tell a friend. Let a friend inform you or your family members that, oh, Mr. So and so wrote a will before he passed on, and so he lodged it in this part. So tell them you wrote a will, tell them where the will was lodged, so that you go to the registry. The moment you go to the registry and say, oh, so this is what you do. You go to the registry and say, want to apply for the reading of the will. You go with a letter addressed to the probate registry, attaching the death certificate, right, of the person who passed. You have to attach that death certificate to show that the person has passed. They usually ask for a death certificate from the Nigerian Population Commission, and the one that was issued by the hospital. No, the hospital will give you death certificate, and also the Nigerian Population Commission will also issue. So it depends on what they do. They will ask for those documents. So you go there, they'll say fine. There will usually be a number that will be written on the receipt that they will issue you. So that's what they use to get your file. So they will get that file, and then they will give you a date for the reading of the will. It is the probate registry or a representative of the probate register that will read that will. So there will be a day all the family members will come into a room, and then in your presence, the envelope that was lodged will be torn. They will show you, right? This is the envelope. Examine it and see whether it has been tampered with. They will show the members, right? Once you do that, everybody confirms that the document was not tampered with. He opens the seal, takes out the document, and starts reading. That reading depends on how long the will is, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, right? Once that is done, everybody now knows who is getting what. So the trustees that have been mentioned in that will now have to go back to the court and state that this is us. They go and present some documents, and then they have authority, to execute whatever instructions the person who passed on gave, because a will has been written, compared to when you are running up and down and doing letters of administration, which I think is a conversation for another day, right? That one is so stressful. But if you have a will, you can take that document to a bank, right? The document, and they give you access because there has been deliberate and definite instructions given by the person who actually passed.
Okay, so that is a good point. Thank you for answering the question ahead of time. The other thing I want to ask you, so what's the process of updating a will when a person has submitted all of these things and the man or the woman or even the youth is like, oh, I want to update something. So is it that person will go back, seal the seal, add to it, stamp it again, or what does that process look like? You're like, I even want to change. There's somebody I want to change. I don't want that person as my trustee again. Yes, all of those things have been done. What is that process going to look like?
Very, very easy. Very, very easy. That's what there's a particular word they call it when you want to update your will. You just go there and tell them that I lodged this, lodged a will on this social day. I hereby apply to, update or amend. You go back there. You go there with a copy of the documents that you want to amend it with. It will be they'll be compared to one another, and you relodge it. Then that one will be taken out. You see then that they will take it out. So it's almost the same process. You apply, they will tell you, okay, come back on this social day. Use another lodgement fee basically to lodge the second will over again. So it's for you to have the document drafted, make your application so that it can actually be done for you in the courts. That's possible. On those technology platforms, you can also write, so on carol.com.ng, once you go there and you've already lodged your will already, there is a section after you lodge that you can relate back to and you can recall or you can amend. So you reach out to the person who helped you execute it on the platform, and then once it's readjusted, you just make your updated payments and do it.
Okay, so Rosemond, in the case or in the event where a person was trying to draft out a will, just maybe on their tablet, computer, laptop, and the person has not gone through the legal process, and this person passed, though the person wrote out the things that they wanted to give out and how they wanted to share their assets, can that now be submitted to a lawyer by the relative that, oh, daddy was writing this on his laptop and he even maybe just had an accident, or what can be done with that? Or it is a no, you guys just go and sit down and find how to sort your family out? Can that still be presented if a person wants to put it up legally in that event?
Not at all. Anybody can go and write on anybody's tablet and present it. So if it is not lodged in court, let's even assume you already have a document and the stamp of the court is not on that document, sealed in an envelope, and it has not been placed in the probate registry. You don't have a will, sir. You don't have a
Wow.
will. So it must be law. The
Wow.
lodging is what gives the legal backing to your documents. Every other thing is just a statement of intention. Every other thing. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so I think I have two more. And the space where people are trying.
Sorry, I lost you.
Talk. But can you hear me? Okay.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me? Okay. All right. So the other question I wanted to ask is, how can what is an estate? We hear the word a lot of times saying estate in when it comes to will
You're
writing and all
breaking
that.
up.
What is
I'm
that?
not sure I can hear you. You're breaking up.
Oh, can you hear me now? Can you
Yeah, it's
hear me
better.
now?
Yeah,
Better now.
yeah.
Okay, I was trying to ask. We hear the word, the term used estate in will writing and even will distribution. So, could you help us clarify what an estate is or what it means when a person says an estate?
Okay, when you say estate, simply means a representative. So it's kind of like Old English, right? Old English for beneficiaries. So your beneficiaries, your children, your
Okay.
relatives. So that's your estate. Uh, so it's a sorry. Yeah, another call came through. So I have a lot of meetings by 12, but it's fine.
Meetings.
Yeah. So
Okay.
when you
Okay.
say estate, when you say estate of, it simply means the family. So when you talk about so there's some matters in court. You say the estate of, it simply means everything that has to do with the person's properties, the person's siblings, relatives, family, any like their properties, basically the person's properties. So that's what the word estate. So it's kind of like in James English, in a manner of speaking. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Then finally, what would you say is the importance of writing a will? I think you need to switch up your video and turn it on again. What would you say is the
Okay.
importance of writing a will? Okay, I can see you again. What is the importance? Why would you
I
say
can't
it's
I can't I can't
important?
even begin to tell you. Let's say it gives your family members rest and peace of mind. Nobody's
Mm,
fighting on who gets what, because you've made your
mm,
intentions clear. Number two, it helps to preserve when I the good faith. So when I mean good faith, it simply means that you solve a lot of internal family issues that could arise, and people
mm.
take responsibility. That's the word. People take
Okay.
responsibility for what has been handed over to them. Unlike when people just want to come and collect what they want to collect, right? And different people have different mindsets on how they will use or manage properties, whatever it is. So what that
Mm,
does is that it helps you just plan. It's like when you want to build a house, you plan how the development process is going to be. That's how you do it when you're about to pass, because passing is a fact of life. You can't escape.
mm, mm. Okay, Rosemond has another call. Or
Yeah, can you hear me?
oh,
It was a song,
yes, I can hear you.
song that,
You just need to turn on your video. Okay, you're back.
yeah,
Okay, yes, you're
there's a
back.
song that really sang. Nobody wants to die, but everybody wants to go to heaven, right? So nobody should be afraid of death. But you must plan so that you just save your wife, your husband, your children from unnecessary squabbles, right? You actually
Mm.
plan what everybody should do with their assets when they get it. So yeah, I think it's an important thing that should happen. Yeah.
Okay, Rosemond, we are done. We just want to get to you. We just want to get to know you better in 2 minutes with our rapid fire question. It is called rapid fire because you're supposed to answer it like quick, 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 quick. And we know you have a meeting, so it's a fantastic way to close out. Number one is, what is your favorite color?
Pink and purple.
What is your favorite food? What's your favorite food?
Yeah, as long as it's sweet, I like it. I really don't have a favorite, but I think I'm liking seafood. I love seafood, crabs, oysters.
Okay. What are you allergic to?
Nothing. Happily nothing.
Okay. What is your best movie?
Sci-fi, anything sci-fi, anything space exploration. I love it.
Okay. Best book. Did you?
I didn't hear that. I lost you for a minute.
Okay, yes, okay. I think, can you hear me now? I was saying, what is your best book?
Yes, of course. I know people say the Bible, but that's like overrated. But I don't have any favorite book. As long as it's motivational, it's inspirational, there's sense inside. I love it.
Okay. Were you born in Nigeria? Were you given birth to in Nigeria?
Yes, I was. To be
Okay, if you
precise.
weren't born in Nigeria, where would you have liked to be born into? What country would
Any
you have
country
liked
in
to
Europe. Any country in Europe, France, Luxembourg.
You don't even waste time. You didn't even waste time.
I love
Wait,
Europe.
wait, what state are you from? Because your name doesn't really give out your state. What state are you from? Oh, I think she had to go. Yes. I
Some
was
people
saying,
calling me. But yeah,
what state are
Delta
you
State.
from? Delta State. Okay.
Delta State.
Gold or silver?
Gold.
Black or white?
White.
Yellow or pink?
Yellow.
What is one favorite attire of yours to wear? What is your favorite attire to wear?
Corporate casual.
What is your favorite thing to do?
Eat.
Okay. To eat, to pitch.
Beach.
Okay. What is your favorite? Okay. Oh, okay. What do you like to do for fun? Is that also what you like to do for fun? Or
Travel.
something?
I love to travel. Travel.
Small chop or jollof rice?
Small chops.
Fruits or vegetables?
Fruits. Fruits.
Did you hear that?
Fruits.
Okay, fruit. Okay. Would
Fruits.
you rather take a train or would you rather take a ship?
Train. I like
Okay,
speed.
right. Okay, bus, the bus or an airplane?
Airplane, obviously.
Writing or speaking?
I didn't get that.
Writing or speaking?
Speaking. Speaking.
Rain or sunshine?
Rain.
Audio or visual?
Visual.
Okay, a day at the beach or a day in one of your favorite restaurants? I think you answered that earlier.
Beach.
But
Yeah.
between the two, the beach. Okay. If you had a magical wand, what is one thing you would like to see change in Nigeria? Just one thing.
The leaders. Leadership. Leadership.
And then finally, what would you like to be remembered for? Final question.
Somebody who just evolved to our best version. Just get evolving.
All right. Thank you so much, Rosemond. The replay will be available, and please keep storing fire like you're already doing.
I definitely will. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, bye. All right, and thank you for watching, everybody that joined us. It will be available on YouTube, SAGENEL TV. Do not forget to subscribe while you're watching. Bye, and of course, share the video as well.
I will. Bye.